Hey there, this is JR from the To Watch Pile, and I'm here to show you some of the stuff that I got from the JB Hi-Fi buy one get one free bog off sale. So stick around and we'll see what I spent my money on. Okay, so this is my first recording like this, so it's going to seem a little bit amateur because while I do stream on Twitch, I haven't done this before. I'll introduce myself. My name's JR. I have been doing movie reviews on the internet for various websites over the years, and I've been running my own movie review site. Do a bit of board games and some comics and stuff as well, called the To Watch Pile, for about the last 6 years. I've had this YouTube channel for maybe 10 years and was just thinking that maybe it was time that I came back to doing some more stuff on the channel. I used to do toy reviews or stuff. There's still some of those about on the site. You'll be able to find them there. But today we're going to go through some of the stuff, not just the bog off stuff that I got, bog off buy one get one free, but also a couple of other bits and pieces. So first thing I grabbed. This is the latest Australian issue of Horrorhound. It takes us ages to get horror mags at the moment. About 2 weeks ago, I got 3 issues of Rue Morgue and 2 issues of Fangoria. I hadn't received an issue since probably November, December of last year, and I got a whole stack of them all at once. It's a bit of a bummer. The joy of having somewhere that is so far away from all of the other places in the world, that's just the way it is. So we do tend to get them behind. You know, this is obviously the issue that came out for when Scream came out, and yeah, it's a little bit late, to say the least. Now, the reason I was going to start recording this a little bit earlier, the reason that I hadn't recorded it earlier is because Amazon turned up with my new book of horror, The Anatomy of Fear in Film. It's talks about what they call the scariest movie of all times. It gives like a graph of where the scary points are during the film, and it talks about the films in general. It's got some interesting choices. You know, it's got the ones that you'd normally know of, like Psycho and Suspiria and stuff like that. But then there's things like Terrified from 2017, It Chapter 2, Martyrs, which I suppose should be there realistically. But yeah, interesting little book. I hadn't seen it anywhere before, and then it just showed up. It was actually the cover that drew me in, and I thought it was like an anthology, you know, like a short story anthology. And when I read into it, I thought, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I might give that a little bit of a whack. So now onto the buy one get one free sale. I went hard. There was not much stuff that I really needed, and I must admit that I doubled up on a few things. But I'm starting to, I'm going to say, replace a lot of my Blu-rays with 4K, but it's not replacing them at all. What generally happens is I just buy another copy of it. And that's what's happened with a couple of these movies. Even some of the Blu-rays I've bought, which as I go through each one, I'll talk about the reason why I've doubled up on it. But yeah, so the first 4K one I got, the classic Evil Dead. So I've been a fan of this film since I first saw it when I was a kid. Saw it on VHS at a friend's place. I had older friends at school, like a year or two older than me, so they could always hire films that I couldn't get my hands on. And I had a sleepover party at one of the guys' places, and he lived heaps away from anybody else in the school, and so going to his place was actually a bit of a treat, and it was in the middle of the woods, and to watch something like that when I was around a bunch of older kids who, yeah, I trusted and all the rest of it, but it was a little bit weird. We'd also heard that there was somebody who was tricking people by pushing, they'd nailed a mannequin, like a store mannequin, to a skateboard, and were pushing this thing out in front of cars, and so we were warned about that. So I was warned that, you know, that my parents might accidentally hit a mannequin on the way to Garth's place. And then we saw that, and it was basically like 10 kids, male and female, all huddled on one lounge and around each other watching this thing. It scared the shit out of me. Sam Raimi's, even though it's like, an amateur film that was made on a shoestring, it's my favourite, easily my favourite Sam Raimi film. I'm a big fan of Evil Dead. I'm a big fan of the remake. I am a moderate fan of Dead by Dawn, the second one, and Armies of Darkness I flat out don't like. I think Ash, I prefer Ash as being the scared kid in the woods, being the cocky superhero that he is by the time he gets to the third one. I don't know, just never really appealed to me. But again, like I own this probably 2 or 3 times on DVD, 2 or 3 times on Blu-ray, just because of maybe extras and stuff like that have come out, and now I have it on 4K. Whatever the format is, if Evil Dead's one of the first ones, I'm pretty much going to be assured to buy it. Next film. You won't hear me clicking because I've got some crib notes on the screen here, so I am totally cheating. Next one is The Fog on 4K. Getting used to where the camera is. Funnily enough, a little bit disappointed in this purchase because I bought it about 3 weeks ago. So I'm going to... I thought that I had bought... Because 3 John Carpenter films in Australia have come out on 4K. It was The Fog, They Live, and I can't remember the other one. And I thought that I didn't have The Fog. I thought I had the other one. So I got 2 copies of The Fog. I'm going to take one of those back when I go back to work tomorrow, and swap it for something else. I love the Fog. I think The Fog's a great movie. Like I'm looking at the IMDb entry for it, and it gets a 6 out of 8. That's far too low for my liking. I think The Fog is a far better film than a 6 out of 8. I think that it's one of my favourite action figures that NECA did. They do like those Mego copies, and they do one of one of the ghosts, and it's amazing. It's such a really, really good action figure. But like I love that period of John Carpenter. It's got Adrian Barbeau and Jamie Lee Curtis in it, both who are amazing. Even Janet Leigh turns up in it, so how can you go wrong with that sort of stuff, realistically? It's a cool thing. And I do like this new artwork. I don't know who did the new artwork on these versions, but it's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind that on a t-shirt. The next one is The Howling. They've always said that there's 2 types of people in the world: people who like the Beatles or people who like the Rolling Stone. There's 2 types of people in the world: people who like The Howling and people who like American Werewolf in London. Contrary to me holding this, I'm an American Werewolf in London guy. This is a pretty cool film. It's got Dee Wallace in it, Dee Wallace Stone in it, and directed by Joe Dante, who is a pretty... Again, you're hearing me pressing buttons because my brain's not as good as what it used to be. Like Gremlins and Small Soldiers and Inner Space and stuff like that. So directed by Dante, and it's a pretty cool little film. It's got some great horror sequences in it. And how many Howlings have there been? Is there like 5? Like 5. There's Howling 2 that had Sybil Danning in it with the awful for her, great for everybody else end credits. Then there was Marsupials, a couple of others. I can't think. I think there was 5. There's probably 7, but I think that there was 5. But I like werewolf films. I think that there's always that discussion that I have with my friends, and it's always like, if you could be a supernatural creature, what could you be? I'll be a werewolf every day of the week. Don't want to be a vampire. Don't necessarily want to live forever. But I dig the idea of being able to change like that. It's pretty cool. Next one's not a horror movie. It's a movie that weirdly I can't figure out if I like it or not. I have seen this movie about 10 times. I have it on pretty much every format that I can get it on, and I still don't know if I like it or not. I literally watched it this morning again. It's Lucy by Luc Besson. I went and saw it when it first came out. We watched it because Scarlett Johansson and Luc Besson, we like other stuff by Luc Besson, like Fifth Element and things like that. Leon the Assassin, all of that sort of stuff. La Femme Nikita, we like his work. This just sits really, really weirdly, right? It kind of feels like an action film, and it kind of feels like it's supposed to be a snobby high sci-fi sort of a thing, but yeah, I don't know. And the funny thing is that just watching it, I did enjoy it. But I'll watch it again in a few weeks' time thinking, yeah, that was really good, and I won't like it. I flip-flop on this film. I've never reviewed it for the website because I can't decide whether I should give it like a 1 or a 5. Like, I don't know if it's absolutely brilliant or red hot trash. Maybe I'll work it out one day. Maybe it's both. Can a film not be both? Can a film be hot trash that you like? I mean, I've got movies that are probably not great films that I like to watch. Maybe it's just one of those. Maybe it's just one of those that I like it because it's silly. I don't know. Maybe I'm not smart enough to understand why I like it. Maybe that's the trick. Maybe that's the trick that it does. Now this next one, what a surprise this movie was when it came out. Emily Blunt, John Krasinski. I've probably mispronounced his name. Quiet Place. It sort of came out the same time as Bird Box and things like that when everybody was doing that. You got to be quiet, you can't look, you can't do this, you can't do that, don't fart, don't scratch your balls in public, or the monsters will get you. And I found A Quiet Place not just interesting because it's was directed by Krasinski. That's one thing. To start there is one thing. Emily Blunt being in it as well, and when you consider that the pair of them are looking a lot like being the Fantastic Four, unless something's changed in the last day or two and I haven't seen about it. Interesting movie. It gets a pretty high score at IMDb. But interesting. I have this on Blu-ray, and I have the sequel on 4K, and I felt like a fool for not having both on 4K. So will I get rid of the Blu-ray? No, I'm a hoarder. Pretty amazing film about monsters that react to sound, so everybody's got to be super quiet. And there's a little side plot of the daughter of the family who are in it, which is Krasinski and Blunt. The daughter, whose name I'm going to look up on IMDb because I've got it here, Millicent Simmons. She's deaf, and they're trying to make sure that they can get her hearing aids and stuff like that, so she knows she's being quiet. Funnily enough, I also like the Netflix movie Hush that came out. That's another good one if you get an opportunity to see it. It's a movie about a deaf woman being terrorized by somebody in her house, and she can't can't speak English. She can't hear if she's being loud or not. So it's an interesting idea of having somebody who needs to be quiet, not knowing if they're being quiet or not. Sorry, need to just wet the whistle. Now this next one, this is one of those films that I read the book ages ago. I was a little bit disappointed when it came out. I was excited when I heard that it was coming, but a little bit disappointed when it came out because Disney obviously weren't going to lend anything to it. Ready Player One, interesting concept of science fiction. I love gaming, so it sits with me perfectly because of how much I love gaming. Conceptually, it's pretty cool. It's got some amazing stuff in it. The book has a whole pile of Star Wars and Marvel characters in it. This one's had to replace it with Godzilla and Gundams and Chucky from Child's Play and stuff like that. Dystopian future style thing. The book's really good. There's a sequel. I don't know if they're making a sequel novel. I don't know if they're making a sequel to the movie yet. It's probably worthwhile checking out. It's probably affect you more if you probably find more interest if you're a gamer, or a movie fan, because it does sort of feed into the whole. Do they call it a meta? It feeds into the whole meta of the universe sort of being based in pop culture. I dig it. It's nice to have a movie like that on 4K. Again, I've got it on Blu-ray, but now I have it on that as well. Next, so that's all the 4K ones. We're going into Blu-rays now. Now, two companies. Umbrella has been with me since day one of my DVD collecting. When I first started doing movie reviews, probably 20 years ago, some of the first ones I did were like the early releases of Suspiria and stuff like that from Umbrella Entertainment. On the towatchpile.com, I actually have a partnership with Umbrella, and so occasionally I'll get movies from them to review. The good thing about it is that they sometimes know that some of their movies are shit, and so they don't mind if I tell people that I think they're shit, rather than like occasionally see some reviewers of things who, to make sure that they maintain getting their free shit, they'll not necessarily give an honest response as to what they think of a film or a book or a board game. It happens a lot in the board game industry, unfortunately. You hear of these people that are just basically in the whole thing for getting freebies, when it should be more about your integrity, but people don't give a shit about their integrity. Anyway, Umbrella have done this pretty cool new thing called Beyond Genres, and I got Crash. So this is based on a book by J.G. Ballard. Directed by Cronenberg. Everybody talks about how they think that Cronenberg's best film is Videodrome. I get that people love that film. I prefer Shivers, honestly. I like his Shivers or Rabid. I prefer those two films. And even though it's kind of almost a remake, I like Existence as well. Again, like playing video games, so it kind of feels like that it taps into my aesthetic a little bit more than what Videodrome is. This is about people who get off on car accidents. Why not? You know, who am I to judge? We've all got our weird things that we like. I like sexy clowns. Who doesn't? Everybody, apparently. Anyway, the next one in that Beyond Genres thing is Child's Play. Again, got it several times already. Got all of the sequels. Got the remake, which was shit. Yeah, Child's Play, everybody knows Child's Play. It's got Chucky in it. It's soul of a serial killer in a body of a child's toy, and he wants to take over the kid. It's a great movie. What's his name? Tom Holland directed it. Different Tom Holland, I think. Not Spider-Man, the other one. Is his name Tom Holland, the Spider-Man kid? Anyway, I can't remember. But yeah, so Tom Holland directed this. For some reason, I think he wrote it. Oh no, it was he did some of the screenplay, but it was Don Mancini, who has done heaps, like some of the other Chuckies, and God, he has done heaps. Bride of Chucky. He's basically just done every single Chucky. Oh, Cellar Dweller, that was the other thing that was a Mancini film that I liked. But yeah, that was a cool one. This next one, The Devil's Candy, is I have this on DVD. I was surprised by how much I liked it when I saw it. And one of the reasons that I like it, it's a Sean Byrne film. Now, again, not using my brain, I'm looking at his at what he does. He did The Loved Ones, which the Australian film, which is a pretty cool film as well. But this one has Ethan Embry in it. Ethan Embry is like intensity personified. He did some teen comedy stuff when he was younger, but I was surprised when he started to do more straight stuff. Not straight, like less comedic stuff. He's in Empire Records, but yeah, he's was he in an episode of Masters of Horror? Again, I'm looking it up because my brain is not what it used to be. But he's done... Yeah, he was. Incident on and off a mountain road. He was the guy who... he was like a gun-crazed guy who was forcing his wife to sort of become one of those weird recluses. And it's got... it's a Don Coscarelli... No, did I say that right? Coscarelli one. And it's got... what's her name? Bree Turner. And I love Bree Turner. I just think Bree Turner's amazing, but it's got Angus Scrimm in that one as well, who, as you know, comes from the Phantasm films, or the Never Dead if you're in Australia. So, yeah. Anyway, cool, right? Devil's Candy. About about a family that their life starts to change because there's like a creepy haunted house that they've moved into. The next one is from Imprint, which is something that has been coming out in Australia for a little while. I've never ever heard of this, but and I'll read the IMDb thing. An older woman uses witchcraft to keep her young jet set friends, based on an ancient Scottish folk song. Holy shit, I'm into that. It's got Ava Gardner and Ian McShane in it. Yeah, like what an interesting cast. I think it's from the 60s or the early 70s. What is it, 1970? So never heard of it. And the name Tamlin, I probably wouldn't have even looked at it if not for the fact that when I was at JB Hi-Fi for this sale, it came up as in the horror section, because they actually have a horror section. If this had have just been, if they didn't have a horror section, this hadn't have been inserted in it, I probably wouldn't have given it a second look. So I'm excited to watch that. That'll probably be something that I'll review for the future. It's the Scottish ballad is Tamlin, which is why it's called that. Has this got Roddy McDowall in it? Surely not. Bruce Robinson? Okay, it's got some other interesting cast members. I don't know why I said Roddy McDowall. It said down here that Roddy McDowall had something to do with it, but who knows? Who knows? Like I said, I'm reminding myself by looking at IMDb. Next one, it's from Imprint again. Body Parts. Now, I haven't owned this previously. I don't know if it's been released in Australia previously. But what I do know is that when my mates who are all horror fans saw it, several of them went, "Oh, good choice." It's based on the novel Choice Cuts by Pierre Bluray. Eric Red is the director. Eric Red, I don't know what else he's done. Cohen and Tate, Bad Moon. So nothing great. Sorry, Eric, but you know what you're doing. It's got Jeff Fahey in it, so that's got to be something, right? So I might actually watch that after I finish doing this, because I am keen to get my head around that. Like I said, I don't think I've seen it, but yeah, we'll give it a go. And finally, I grabbed this one. I have this on DVD, not on Blu-ray. The Osterman Weekend. The main poster that you may have seen of this is actually one of a woman holding a compound bow and an arrow. It's generally the movie poster that's used for it. I don't think I saw this film as a kid, but I love that poster. And it's all about a journalist trying to convince KGB agents to defect. But like, amazing cast. It's a Sam Peckinpah film for one thing. So like, it's based on a novel by Robert Ludlum, who has done heaps of that sort of stuff. John Hurt, Rutger Hauer, Craig T. Nelson, Dennis Hopper. I don't really need to say much more than that. Chris Sarandon, Meg Foster. It's got so many cool people in it. Burt Lancaster's in it. Like, what a gem. And Sam Peckinpah, so you know that there's going to be a bit of chunk in it. This set's pretty cool. It comes in this funky box, which I haven't opened yet. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a look at what's in here. Nice little pop-top box. It's got 2 discs in it, and it looks like it has... Oh, that's the poster I was talking about. So that's the cool poster that I used to have up in my bedroom. And that's the other one. So this is the theatrical cut. This is the theatrical cut, and this is the director's cut. So that's pretty cool. And the cool thing about Imprint doing this is that, like, one of the things that's awesome about it is that Imprint's boxes are numbered, so you're actually collecting a collection, because that's what you do with a collection. You collect it. Both films are numbered 109. You see 109 there? So both films are done as 109, so whether they maintain that box set or release just like a single version later on, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing in general. And that's all that I got. Like I said, I do have to swap that fog over, which I'm a little bit upset with myself for doing. Like, I've done that sort of thing before. It's a silly thing to do, but there you go. Not a genius, unfortunately. Now I'll just sort of also say that I've got this little thing here where can I do it? This little thing here. So this is a thing for the to watch pile that I invented ages ago. With this little thing with the girl watching the TV with the thing coming out of it, because I thought that the idea of the girl from Poltergeist and watching would work well with the to watch pile. And the little stinger opening that I did at the beginning, you're going to find that I'm going to get some more professional looking stuff done soon. A friend of mine who's a designer has sort of basically said to me, do you want me to update your site? And I was like, yes, please, because I am no artist. I am not good at this sort of shit, but she is amazing. She did a couple for me previously, and so it might just look a little bit amateur-y for the meantime, just until I get the stuff from her and sort of get my idea of how to do it all. I'm still sort of working out OBS. Like I said, I've only just started Twitch streaming, and I'm still sort of trying to get the hang of it. I think I'm getting it. I think I'm getting this. I hope I'm getting this. I hope you can hear and everything. I've got the mic set up and all the rest of it. So, yeah, so hopefully I'll do more of these videos, and I'll download them to the To Watch Pile channel on YouTube. Meanwhile, if you want to read my reviews, it's thetowatchpile.com. New review goes up every Wednesday, and then occasionally on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'll either have a book, a comic, or a board game go up. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of horror board games. But thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that I can control myself and not spend as much money. I think we all know that that's possibly not true. I'm going to go back to my tea. I'm going to go and watch Body Parts, I think. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.